Today we're gonna talk about Old Reliable. Like, these are the products that have never let me down. Like, truly my most reached for products when I have a special occasion. If it's a date night, a girl's night out, and I need my makeup to be flawless, these are the products that I'm always reaching for. And I have a pretty big collection. I have a lot of great makeup products, but I constantly find myself going back to these. Like, I wouldn't want to do this, but I could get rid of every single product I have and just keep these, and I would be a happy camper. Let's switch it up today and go in kind of a random order. Typically we go primer, foundation, concealer, whatever, but today I'm going to keep you on your toes. And I don't necessarily have one product in every single category, but I do have something in most categories. But let me start off with the powder that I am obsessed with. And I never saw this coming because I didn't think I was going to be a pink powder person, but something about this leaves my face flawless. So this is from Jones Road, and it is their tinted face powder in the shade Pink. Funny enough, I have the translucent one as well, and I enjoy that as a powder, but it's not holy grail status like this one. For me, that one's like, oh, you know, it's a nice loose powder. This is the best loose powder. Okay, wait, here's the testimony. The other night I was at dinner and Kaki was there and she said to me, Kelly, your under eyes look so flawless. It literally looks like a filter. And she's definitely more of like a dewy finish girl. And she even said that. She's like, I know you normally are like so team matte and I'm not always about that, but right now, like, I'm convinced. And I was like, 100% it is this powder, because what I do, you have to use a puff. I mean, you don't have to. You could definitely use a brush or a sponge or whatever, but I get the most flawless perfected finish when I'm using a puff. So I take this little triangle one and pick up a pretty minor amount of product. You know, I'm not loading this puff up. You're not baking. We're just getting enough to set. So I take it, kind of work it into the puff, and then I'll either like tap it out on the inside of the cap or tap it out onto my hand to get the product pretty well distributed into here before I start pushing. And then I'm just pushing into the under eye. Funny enough, you look at this and think, okay, that pink is not going all over your face, but it kind of can. Something about this tone, it's not too bright pink that's going to leave you literally pink. It just actually brightens the entire complexion with this very minimal pink cast. Like, you're not really even going to see the pink. It's just going to look brightened. And I think it's especially flattering on the under eyes because it really seamlessly fades into the blush. Even on days when I'm wearing a blush tone that's not super pink leaning, like right now I'm wearing a very like nude copper blush, but I still think this can fade really beautifully into that. It's not heavy, like it really doesn't look like much, especially because I'm applying such a thin amount, like barely any product, but it is flawless and it lasts all day. It's so smooth. I'm telling you, this is it. This is the answer. Also, they do have two pink shades. They have a deeper pink one, so if you're looking at this thinking that shade might be too light for my skin tone, they have more of a rosy one that could be an option as well. Okay, it's been so long since I've worn orange lipstick, and I'm like, let me make sure I don't have this in my teeth. I know if you watch a lot of my videos, these are going to be pretty predictable today, and if you've been watching me for years, we should have a tally of like how many videos I have discussed the Bare Minerals Blonzer in. But today, I want to talk about this as well. So I originally purchased the Bare Minerals Blonzer back in 2021 when this was a limited edition product. I bought the shade Kiss of Pink. That was when they only had 3 shades and this was the lightest one. The original packaging was this like gold plastic, but now they've changed it to black packaging after they made it permanent. So I was at a Bare Minerals event recently and the makeup artist was like, you know, I think you would look really nice in Kiss of Copper. And I was like, really? I've always steered away from that because I thought it'd probably be too deep for me. But I got it at the event. I'm wearing it today, and with a light hand, I actually think it's so flattering on my skin tone. Even on my pale skin, I don't think it's too much. But I still think this formula is pigmented enough that even if you don't have fair skin, like it's going to show up. I think this shade in particular is probably best suited for light to a medium skin tone, but they have expanded the shades and now they have 5 total. The interesting thing for me is that the finish between these two is a little bit different. So the one I mostly want to highlight here is obviously Kiss of Pink, because this is the one I've had for years that I'm going back to so frequently, but I felt like Kiss of Copper needed its own little moment right now because this one I'm also really loving right now. But the funny part is I find Kiss of Copper to be so much more glowy than Kiss of Pink. Almost to the point that it has me like, did they change the formula when they made it permanent? Because this is more of a satin matte, whereas this I think has a decent amount of sheen to it. Like if you tap off your brush, I don't think it's too much or anything like that on the cheeks, but there is a noticeable glow here, whereas this is more of your satin matte texture. Regardless, I think, dropped it, but I think these are some of the most flattering blush tones because they don't lean too pink or too anything really. They're the kind of the shade that your cheeks are naturally gonna become if you're out in the sun. So they just look like maybe you're not wearing too much makeup. It's this rosy flush. The concept of these is that it's like blush combined with bronzer. I disagree with that, especially Kiss of Pink. Like this is very pink. You wouldn't use it as a bronzer. Maybe Kiss of Copper, but in general, I describe these as a blush. But a bronzer, I'm sure you've never heard of, is this one from Fenty. That was a joke because I think I mentioned it in every single video. So we will try to go quickly here, but this is Fenty Inda Sun. That's the name of the lightest shade in the Sun Stalker Powder Bronzer line. As you can see, I have giant pan on this. I use it constantly. This is one of the most blendable powder bronzer formulas that I found. It is not patchy, it's buttery. I know that word gets overused. I don't really like the word buttery either. It's kind of a gross way to describe makeup, but it's accurate, okay? Like this feels like velvet in the pan on the skin. It blends out seamlessly. You're not gonna have to worry about getting too much. The tone of it is incredibly natural. It's not too cool and it's not too warm, but it's also not like too neutral. Like it still looks like you're bronzed from the sun. It is the most perfect bronzer to ever exist, according to me. So if you know me, you know my love affair with the NYX lip liners. Now, don't get me wrong, lately I've been branching out. I've been cheating on my NYX lip liners, if you will. Like, I have a lot of other new ones that I've been loving. I've been loving the Rimmel lip liners. I've been loving the Jones Road lip liners. Recently tried the Bare Minerals lip liner formula. Okay, those are great as well. Love the Essence ones. Like, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of good ones. But what I've always loved about the NYX formula is the shade range. Any shade of lip liner you want, NYX has you covered, and for $5. But the specific shade that's getting mentioned today is the one that I use the most. And you can tell by how teeny tiny it has become. I'm constantly sharpening this. It's always in my purse. Even today, when I sat down to film this, I'm like, where is it? Where is it at? Because it's hard to find because I'm using it that frequently that I'm always taking it in my purse when I'm like running out for the night. The shade is Nude Truffle. And this seems to work with everything because you could pair this with more of a reddish lip. You could pair it with more of a pink lip, more of a true nude. Even the lip I have on today, truly I could have paired with this. I ended up pairing it with a little bit of Nutmeg, which is a deeper brown from NYX, because I wanted like a little bit of a shadow from this bright, bold orange color on my lips, but Nude Truffle probably would have worked as well. If you're on my skin tone, Nude Truffle is going to be more like a mid-tone, medium nude on you, unless you go super light-handed. But if you have more of a medium skin tone, it's probably going to be a nice, like, true nude. I think this is their most popular, maybe. It's definitely the one that I hear the most about, and for good reason. This has never let me down. Whenever I'm doing a makeup look and I'm like, where do I want to take this? Like, sometimes you can see, like, oh, with this eye look and this lip, I need to go pink, or I need to go a little more red. But sometimes you're looking at it and you're like, I don't know what to do. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you want more neutral, more pink, more red, more colorful. Nude Truffle will never let you down. Funny enough, okay. So the next one I want to talk about is a foundation. And you hear me talk about it a lot, but this is truly like the holy grail of all holy grails for me. I'm almost out of this. And there are a lot of times that I will do my foundation and I'll be looking in a mirror and I can see that my chin is like maybe peeling or things are kind of separating because I have dry skin and I tend to get a lot of dry patches in this area. So often I will wash my makeup off and start over. And anytime, if I started with a different foundation and I'm redoing my makeup, 100% of the time, the foundation that I'm choosing to redo it with is this one. This is the most underrated foundation that there is. No one talks about this and I don't get it. Look at this. I'm almost done with this. You can see through it. Like, maybe not on camera. I can see it through because there's a light shining on me so I can like see the light. Like it's almost gone. And I will be repurchasing it immediately. This is from Tarte. This is the Shape Tape Cloud Coverage Foundation. So I have mine in the shade 20B Light Beige. It's like a perfect shade match for me. It does have SPF 15 in it, which, you know, it's a nice little extra, but I definitely would not rely on this to be your only form of sun protection. So the thing about this, the best way I can describe this foundation, this is what the Tarte, or not the Tarte, this is from Tarte. This is what the IT Cosmetics CC Cream or the e.l.f. Camo CC Cream wanted to be, but better. This is like a better version of that. Both of those I find heavy. This one, the coverage level is a bit more medium, but I use such a small amount of this product when I'm doing my makeup that I'm getting more of a light coverage. So I think, you know, maybe if you're going in with a lot of this, it could look a bit heavier, but I recommend using a pretty thin layer of this. And it gives you the most dewy skin-like finish. It pairs well with powders. It pairs well with creams. I really don't think I've found a formulation that this doesn't want to mix with. It's incredibly flexible and adaptable in that way. You could really like glow it up with more of a hydrated or shimmery base product, whether that's like through a primer or a highlighter, or you could take it a bit more matte with some powders or a mattifying primer. Like, the options for adapting this are endless. It's the perfect foundation. It never lets me down. It looks like skin. Like, when I'm wearing this, I get so many compliments on my skin. Honestly, that could be an alternative title for this video, like the products I get the most compliments on. Okay, this concealer. You thought you had heard the end of it. You were like, no, not the Natasha Denona concealer again, girl. We know. But I had to. I couldn't do a video of my most reliable products without talking about this, okay? I'm gonna try to not mention this again in a video anytime soon until we get to my favorites of the year. Then you'll see it in that, but I'm trying to reel it in. But I love this concealer so much. This is the Natasha Denona concealer. I have mine in the shade N4. Once again, anytime I'm like redoing my makeup, sometimes I have dry under eyes too. Sometimes those will start looking bad and I'm like, you know what? Let me redo this. This is the concealer I switch to 100% of the time. I'm like, oh, the Tower 28 one is creasing, which that concealer crease is so bad for me. I don't know what it is. Everyone loves that one. The initial result for me is beautiful, but when I wear it for more than like 3 hours, my under eyes are a mess. But not with this. It's so funny. The other day, I was at an event and I was talking to another creator and she was asking me my favorite makeup products. I went on this rant about how much I love the Natasha Denona concealer to the point where I was like, okay, girl, you need to reel it in. You're talking about that concealer too much. But it just looks so smooth on my under eyes. It's not heavy, but it's a high level of pigment where it's covering a good amount without being extreme coverage. But I feel like it's really taming down any darkness that I have. I like it for spot concealing on the face. I have this like acne scar right here that has been pretty prominent lately, but this, just one little dot of it, it's gone. It disappeared. Erased. Wears well. Minimal creasing. I always say minimal creasing because there's not a concealer in the world that doesn't crease. If you have creases on your under eyes, it's going to go into them, but some are definitely better than others. This is one of the best. Actually, it is the best. Okay. The e.l.f. Lash N Roll Mascara. Funny enough, I have a few mascaras open right now. I try not to keep very many open at a time, but I feel like I've been testing different ones. I'm liking the Tower 28 one. Actually, I'm so sad because I love the Tower 28 one. The initial results are some of the best I have found with the mascara, but I get a little bit of flaking and a little bit of smudging. Not to the point that it turns me off from using it, but to the point that I'm a little disappointed because I wanted to love it. And I will say, I hear that comment echoed constantly, like, yeah, mascara looks beautiful, but it smudges and flakes, and it kind of does. But lucky for us, this $6 one from e.l.f. does not. This is the Lash N Roll Mascara, and I would actually say this is one of the closer options to the Tower 28 Mascara in terms of the wand and the finish effect for my lashes, but I would say tone down a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, picture what you're getting from the Tower 28 Mascara, scale it back, 25% less. So it's a bit more natural, but the longevity is there a lot more with this one for me than it is with the Tower 28. Like, my lashes still look nice, and these are gonna look nice all day. It's not gonna flake, it's not gonna smudge, like no smudging at all. One of the best drugstore mascaras. I talk about it a lot. I talk about all these a lot. These are like my favorites, you get it. But this, highly, highly, highly recommend. If you're into a slightly more natural lash, if you're looking for extreme volume, you could be let down with that one. But for an everyday mascara that will never let you down, e.l.f. Lash N Roll. Going back to blush, the Rare Beauty blush, specifically in the shade Bliss, is perfection. This, if you have fair skin, is like the perfect blush tone. Like if I'm doing my makeup for a special event or I just wanted to look flawless, like you know when you have those products that are like, these are my safe products. Like sometimes I'm playing with other things and I'm wanting to play around, I'm wanting to experiment, and sometimes the look turns out cute and sometimes it does not. This blush paired with these other products, like this is all reliable. Like 100% of the time, this is going to look nice. And that's the thing about this blush. I feel like the tone, it's going to pair well with whatever eye look I go with. Whether I go more neutral, more cool tone, more colorful, more warm tone, if I'm wearing an orange lipstick or I'm wearing a nude, it does not matter. This shade is like one of the most universally flattering options that I have. And you can kind of layer this one up. This is like the lightest shade from the Rare Beauty blushes. So it's not as highly pigmented as the others. Well, I guess it is, but because the tone is so much lighter, you don't have to worry about getting clown cheeks. You don't have to worry about overdoing it. You don't have to follow the 1 dot rule. You can really like tap this out on your cheeks, get a ton of product, and it's still gonna blend out just fine. Let me know if you have a set of like safety net products that you know are gonna be perfect every single time. These are mine. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will go ahead and see you in my next one. Bye.